Hi, I'm Mike Bastinelli, the Public Information Officer for the Yakima Police Department, and welcome to another edition of Tuesday Tips. Today we are talking to Yakima Patrol Officer Jim Yates, and we're going to talk about crosswalk safety involving pedestrians and cyclists. And now we're standing near the crosswalk at 40th and Chestnut in Yakima. And Officer Yates, first of all, let's talk about, as we look at this crosswalk behind us, let's first talk about the responsibility of the pedestrian as
Sure.
they enter the crosswalk.
Absolutely. So this one, it's clearly marked, and regardless if it's marked or unmarked, the pedestrian is required to stop prior to entering the roadway to make sure the roadway is clear. This one does have lights that you can activate, which the city has recently put in, and it's been great having them do that. So it just alerts the drivers in the area further that there's pedestrians in the area. So, but before they enter that, they need to make sure the roadway is clear.
And I guess a word to pedestrian, don't assume that the drivers are going to see you.
Correct. I mean, people do operate with their cell phones. They're looking at navigation systems. It's best to, before you enter, that you're almost making eye contact with those drivers so they know that they see you before
Well, let's
you
talk
enter.
about the responsibility of the motorists as they come
Sure.
into both a marked crosswalk like this one and one that's not marked.
Okay. Anytime, if you're operating a vehicle and you're approaching an intersection and you observe a pedestrian or bicyclist that is wanting to cross, you're required to stop, whether it's marked or unmarked, at that intersection and allow that pedestrian to go through. You cannot proceed through that until that pedestrian or bicyclist is past the halfway point or clear of the lanes that you're traveling.
And how often are you writing tickets?
Just about daily, and mostly in school zones where we see it. And so drivers are aware. It's just like speeding in a school zone. If you fail to yield to a pedestrian in a crosswalk, marked or unmarked, your fine doubles in that area.
And when you ticket someone for not yielding to a pedestrian, what do you hear from motorists?
Usually what they're stating is they didn't see them. And that's troubling with even smaller kids. Many people travel with SUVs, so they're a little higher off the ground, so it's a little bit more difficult to see smaller children. But that's usually what we're being told, is they did not see them.
Well, let's talk about cyclists. So if I'm riding a bike, a cyclist is coming through the crosswalk. Let's talk about first the responsibility of the cyclist.
So very similar to the pedestrians. Before they enter a crosswalk or go to cross a road, they have to be sure that it's clear. They can't just continue traveling and assume that it's clear for them to cross that crosswalk. They have to stop and wait. Once it's clear, they can start to go through. But again, those driving also have to yield to them.
And even beyond a crosswalk, just driving down the street.
Sure.
What's the responsibility of the cyclist?
The responsibility of a
Is he supposed to act
cyclist,
like he's another motorist?
yeah, if he's operating on the roadway, act like
Or she.
operate on the roadway as if you were a vehicle. So approaching stops, you have to signal. If you're going to turn, you have to signal your turn. And as far as the responsibility of the vehicles that observe a bicyclist on the roadway, treat them just like another vehicle. You're going to end up passing them at some point. Give them enough room to where it's safe for you to get by them.
And what's considered enough room?
Anywhere from 3 to 5 feet.
Do you find that most people don't understand that about the law?
I do, and I wish people would educate themselves more, because I think you can talk to any bicyclist and they can tell you how many close encounters they've had, or vehicles that are driving on roadways where there's bicyclists that get frustrated and are in a hurry and want to move around them.
So if I'm coming up behind a cyclist, I have to treat that cyclist as if I'm behind a car.
Correct.
Another vehicle.
Correct. And when it's safe to do so, if you need to pass them, you can give them enough room, and when it's safe, pass by them.
Yeah, I don't think most people know that.
No, I don't think so.
Well, anything else you'd like to share?
Just be safe, both vehicles on the roadway and pedestrians and bicycles.
All right, thanks, officer. And again, when you see a cyclist, you have to treat that cyclist as if you're following another vehicle, not just a bike. Thanks for joining us for Tuesday Tips. Join us next time for another edition of Tuesday Tips from the Yakima Police Department.